Good morning, all of you. Today, following the yesterday report, the presentation of abduction in Turkey by Johan Heymans, we will have three witnesses. The first one is Mr. Mustafa Özben, so I call you to give us your testimony, sir.
Değerli başkan, değerli üyeler,
Hello, President. Hello, members, dear participants. I would first of all like to welcome you here all today. Thank you for being here. So I lived through what I will tell you about this morning personally. I will tell you about what happened to me 4 years ago. And I would first of all like to tell you how I was 4 years ago. And to explain that, I would like to show you a short video. Thank you.
şimdi burada tabii
So maybe there will be no interpretation, but actually there will be, says the interpreter. My name is Mustafa Özben. I was born in 1975 in Istanbul. I was taking my daughter to school on the 9th of May 2017. And at around 13 hours, I was abducted in Şentepe Yeni Mahalle, right after having taken 300 lira from the ATM over there. I also went to buy some bags. And then I went towards my car, my Honda, and right at that moment, around 3 or 4 people suddenly surrounded me. They beat me, they pulled me about, and they took me into a black transporter. I believe it was a black transporter van. They threw me inside. They put a sack over my head once I was in the car. Again, they beat me with their fists. They insulted me. They screamed at me. And then they put plastic cuffs around my ankles and my hands. So this is a video that was taken of me exactly 92 days after I had been abducted on 9th of May 2017. So why did I take this video? I will tell you why at the end of my statement. As I said at the beginning of this video, my name is Mustafa Özben. I was born in August in 1975 in Istanbul. After having finished my studies of law in Ankara, I started to work as a lawyer for the Bar of Ankara. And until the failed coup attempt, I was working as a teacher at the Turgut Özal University. On the 9th of May 2017, as I said in the video, I took my daughter to school. And then I used a credit card which belongs to my father because the situation in Turkey was very tense, and I was partially hiding. There was as yet no formal investigation or formal research for me, but I thought that maybe I was in danger because everyone around me was being sought after, it was in danger. And I have been in the Gülen movement since 1993. And so I believed that I could also be a target, so I was also in hiding. I had taken certain measures to hide, to be careful, and that's why I was using my father's credit card to take money out of the ATM. And then I went and bought a few things from some shops. And there's something very important that I have to say about what I bought from one of these shops, but I'll keep that for the end of my statement. So after I made my purchase, I went towards my car, which I had parked very nearby. I suppose they had already been following me. I don't know how many people with how many cars they'd been following me, but I'm sure that they knew where I'd parked. They knew which itinerary I'd be following. So after I'd taken just 10 steps, a plump person came in front of me, dressed all in black. He stopped in front of me and he started insulting me. I didn't know what to do, and all of a sudden 2 other people came from behind. All this took only 5 seconds, perhaps. And then a transporter van came towards us. It was black or dark color. And I was thrown inside the van. The door was closed upon me, and then the van went away. Of course, a sack was put over my face, so I couldn't be a witness to anything, so I couldn't see anything. I continued to struggle once inside the van with the hope that I could maybe just run away. It's a reflex, of course, but maybe after 3 or 5 minutes, I understood that I couldn't do anything. They put these cuffs over my ankles and my wrists. As I said, they put a sack over my head. And then I heard them talking amongst each other. Where should we take him, to 34 or to 06? So I understood from that there are different places they take the people they kidnap. They said, okay, let's take him to 34. I don't know what 34 means or 06 means, but this is a jargon, a language that they know about. They called the chauffeur, the driver, Haydar, the name Haydar. So the van wasn't speeding, it was just going at a normal speed. Approximately 30 minutes afterwards, well, I've lived in Ankara for a long time, so I know the city very well. I could imagine where they took me. So the car is going downhill and then turning left, and then we're going straight. I was trying to guess where we were going. It's only a guess. Approximately 30 minutes later, but this is all approximate, of course. It could be 25 minutes, 35 minutes. But biologically, I'm guessing that it was 30 minutes later. We came at an end of the road, and then we went up a hill, and then the car stopped. They opened the door. And there was a delegation, a group of people waiting for us outside. That's what I'm guessing. Of course, I have a sack over my head. I can't see anything. So they were ordered to take me down the van. They stripped me of all my clothes. They made me wear a sort of pajama, which they brought. At that moment, they cut off the cuffs that they put on my ankles and my wrists, but this time they put metallic handcuffs on my wrists. And then I'm going to try to tell you what I saw. We came to a kind of a huge warehouse. I mean, I'll tell you why I thought it was a warehouse later on. So I was put into this building in a small cell. I was thrown into a small cell. Let me try to describe you this cell. The cell, I tried to calculate how big it was. Putting my bare feet, one behind the other, it was a length of 6 to 9 feet. So I believe it was a cell of 3 meter squares. And the height was around 2.5 meters. There was a very hard mattress kind of thing. And then there was a place where they could put my handcuffs, where they could link my hands to. And the walls, to avoid my killing myself, I suppose, I'm not sure. But of course, this is more up to experts to know about. It's more in their field of expertise. I'm just telling you about my guesses, I suppose it was either so I wouldn't kill myself or else so as to isolate this from sound. They'd put this kind of materials, like this kind of carpet, all around the walls. So it was all soft. It was a tiny place, as I said. In the corner, there was a camera, so they could continuously watch inside. And there was also a sound system, so they could give me orders or establish contact with me inside. And perhaps... And there was also a projector, a light. The cell is dark, but just to provide some light so the camera could see inside, they placed a special kind of lighting. That way they could see at all times what I was doing inside the cell. There was also an airing system, an aeration system, which made a quite horrible sound. And this is another type of torture, according to me. For 24 hours, there's this woo sound coming from the aeration system. And the sound was really another type of torture for me. So, dear President, dear members, the first order I received was this. I was placed inside this cell which I've just described, and then they started to give me orders about what would happen next. When someone comes in, they knock on the door. I'm telling you this in a very improvised way. I hope you won't think that it's disrespectful. So they knock on the wall, on the door, in a very powerful way. So you understand that someone's going to come inside. What I have to do is put myself on my knees. I have to kneel and get in this certain position. And then the door opens, they come from behind and take me outside to be interrogated. I'm telling you about my first moments there, my first days. So they gave me this order. They say, you're going to kneel, you're going to bow your head, you're not going to lift your head, you're not going to look around. They call each other brothers. There were different types of personnel. First of all, the people who just brought in things, who took me to the toilet, who brought me food, who took me off to be tortured and so on. So there are lower level personnel. And then there are the leaders, the authorities. And these people are feared. They give the orders. And you're never supposed to go outside of their orders. And they're called the big brothers. Okay, they say the big brother is going to come and see you. Of course, at the beginning, I was like, what is this? Is this a joke? Just 30 minutes before, I was telling my wife, I'm just going to take our daughter to school. I'm going to take some money. I'll buy a few things. And I'll be back home in around 30, 35 minutes. But this lasted for 92 days. Yes, so they knock on the door. I was taken outside. I'm taken off to interrogation. So, to start with, they said Mustafa. So I'm going to describe the place again. So they turned my face against the wall. Because if accidentally my blindfold were to open or the blindfold were to fall, if I were to see anyone by accident, they're always panicking, they're always afraid. If you give me more time, I'll tell you more about this later on. It was extremely important for them not to be seen. So, they say, Mustafa, where are you now? They ask me. To start with, spontaneously, I just said, I suppose I'm at the meet at the National Security Agency. Of course, I didn't say this comfortably. I was shaking with fear. I had no idea what was happening to me. How do you know that you're at meet? Maybe you're at the police station. Maybe you're at the gendarmerie. So they're trying to ruin my concentration. They're trying to ruin all my certainties. You can't know anything. Well, actually, I don't really care who's torturing me. And later on, they say, Mustafa, this is a place that neither exists nor doesn't exist. This is what they told me. And I'm not going to add any of my own comments or interpretation. This is what they said. They said, this is a place that neither exists nor doesn't exist. Here we are the state. Now the state is being run differently. If you help us, we'll forget about all the complaints made against you. We'll erase them all. We'll send a note to the prosecutor, and we'll resolve all the problems you may have. We'll give you a new identity. We'll give you as much money as you like. We'll give you all the opportunities you need. But if you don't help us, we know human anatomy very well. This is exactly what they said. We know human anatomy very well. You may start to beg us that we'll kill you. They know all about torture, about how the human body can resist torture until where they can go. And they told me about all of this as if it were a great skill to be proud of. They kept telling me they know very well how the human anatomy works. They know how torture works. The first moments I was there, they tried to affect me with all of these words. But I knew I hadn't committed any crimes. I told them I hadn't committed any crimes. I told them I didn't know anything. I told them all the classical things that anyone in that situation would say. I said, what can I do for you? There's nothing I can do for you. I'm just a normal lawyer, a normal teacher. Yes, I'm a member of the Gülen movement, but I don't know anything. They asked me a question. Who did you call on the day of the coup? Which general did you call? Who can I call? Which kind of general could I call? Why would I call a general? I was at home on the day of the coup. It's really funny, the questions they asked me. So openly, I'm sorry, but if these people were members of the intelligence agency, I would never have hired them. I would never have given them any jobs. They were really unskilled. From the way these questions were asked, I understood that they knew just a few things about me, but most of it had just been fabricated. I was supposed to understand what they wanted from me, and I said, okay, if you want my help, then take me to a police station, but other than that, there's nothing I can tell you. So for a few days, that's what I told them. I told them, I don't know, I have no idea. I don't know, I have no idea. But they said, Mustafa, be careful. This is going to change. It's not going to stay this way. We're going to start torturing you worse and worse. But the first days, they were trying to be nice to me. They were like, okay, let's do this on a friendly basis. Just tell us the story, just tell us. But what can I tell them? You know, there's nothing I can tell them. But what they're really asking me to do is this. So they've invented a terrorist organization. They've made everyone a terrorist. Okay, there's a crime, there's a criminal, but now we need facts to put inside this file. We need people who will confess to their crimes. We need some people who are going to confess, who are going to give us true or false information. So they're trying to learn things from me. They're trying to make me forced to give them some news. So what they want is for me to confess, for me to give them some information, for me to give them some names, for me to work for the state. So, as I said, I was there for 92 days. I could tell you all about it, but we don't have that much time, so I'll try to tell you very short. So they made files about the Gülen movement, different files in different colors, which have photos inside. Okay, let's say this is a file. When I open this, they take my blindfold off so I can look at this file, And of course, they're hiding behind me. So I open the file. There are a few photos here. And on the photo, there's a number 1. Who is this? So as I was turning the pages, I saw that there was a photo, and behind the photo, there was already a name. And there's a second photo, and again, there is a name. So actually, they know who all these people are already. These photos, dear judges, were taken from inside a car while they were following someone. And the person they were following was walking or sitting on a cafe terrace. Or else they were photos taken from CCTV. Or for example, this person is at a passport control point. And you know, there's CCTV there as well. And these photos had been taken from that CCTV. So these photographs were not taken at a wedding or anything. So the interrogators, I believe, were for sure working for the state. During the interrogation, I was in a certain building, as I said. Each time I was taken out of my cell, there was a certain procedure to be followed. I had to kneel. They put a blindfold over me, and then they put a sack over my head, just in case I could see something through the blindfold. And then, once I'm taken out of the cell, I'm just trying to describe where I was taken. Let's say where you're sitting right now is the warehouse door, and right across from it there are different cells, one next to the other. And across from the cells there are 2 other cells. At the end of the corridor, there are the interrogation rooms, and then the toilets and the bathroom. So, but you're going to ask me, I'm taken outside with a blindfold and a sack over my head. How could I know all this? Perhaps it was the 14th or 23rd day, I can't remember. But one day, they knocked on my cell door. Again, I took the position. They said, "Come out." But of course, I hadn't been blindfolded yet. I was afraid. They haven't blindfolded me. They're taking me outside. Maybe this is the end of the road. They're probably going to execute me today. And that's why they don't feel the need to hide their faces. And so, of course, I was terrified. I was shaking with fear. They said, no, come on, don't be afraid. We have masks on. Come out. So this time they had snow masks on. There were 2 people. It was the middle of the night. They took me to the bathroom so I could bathe. There was water. Oh, as I said, it was always the people in leadership position who allowed me to eat, who allowed me to bathe, who allowed me to drink. I could never ask for any of this on my own. So the moment they took me out of my cell, of course I looked around. When I went to the bathroom, and then as I was coming back, I tried to understand what kind of a place I was in. I looked at the floors. I looked at the cells, one next to another. I looked at the interrogation rooms. I looked at how high the ceilings were. So above the cells, I could continuously hear people walking. There were people on guard for 24 hours. At 8 o'clock, the guards would change. How did I know it was 8 o'clock? Well, again, it's my biological clock that told me it was around 8 o'clock in the morning. That's when the new team would come in. At around 10 o'clock in the morning, so 2 hours after the guards changed, a glass of tea, a slice of bread, a small piece of white cheese, and a few olives. And sometimes a few olives would be missing, and I think the damn guard ate one of my olives. Well, I lost 20 kilos there. I weighed 80 kilos, but when I got out of there, I weighed only 60 kilos. I was hungry and thirsty most of the time. They were trying to break my resistance. Maybe they were hoping that I'd say, okay, I'll do anything you want. I'll say anything you like. I'm just so hungry and thirsty. So I think that there were around 3 interrogation rooms where I was taken. One was totally white, another was painted all in black. In the white interrogation room, again, sometimes in that room they would show me files with photos inside, so they would, of course, take my blindfold off for this. And of course, I was always trying to see as much as I could see. How will I be able to describe all this when I get out of here? What will I be able to do about all of this later on? How can I testify about all I've been living here? So each time I had an opportunity, I would just look around. Of course, I was trying to do this discreetly. So I would very discreetly try to see as much as I could see. And of course, they weren't always focused on me. For example, when they took me out to bathe, they didn't follow protocol. I'm sure later on they were punished for having taken me out of my cell without being blindfolded, so I could see everything. So one of the interrogation rooms there was a high table, just as like the one where I'm at right now. Behind there was a painting of Atatürk, and there was a Turkish flag next to it. So we could have thought that we were in a courtroom, actually. Maybe the people who were interrogating me used to sit there before. It was a very official type of place. So in that interrogation room, on the wall, there were two cuffs where they could handcuff people on the wall. I saw sticks, I saw blood. So it's very difficult to tell you about all this, but I think that I owe it to you all. I owe it to everyone to tell about the torture methods that were used there.
I'm afraid I have to ask you to go to the end.
Evet.
Yes. So they used electroshocks. They used electricity. That was just normal everywhere. They just used electricity all over my body. Just beating, normal beating. There was a sex instrument. So they put something in my hand while I was blindfolded. They asked me what it was. And I touched it and I understood that it was a sex instrument. So they put me on the floor. They made me kneel and they said, "We're going to put you inside. We're going to penetrate you with this. You're going to see. So tell us now." So they tried everything that could break me. They threatened me using my family. "Now, we're going to bring your family here. Your children are going to watch you from behind the window. You'll see then." Of course, I told you about thirst and hunger. They broke this tooth of mine while they were using their fists on my face. That's just normal. And I didn't want to lose my memory. I didn't want to go crazy. So I took a piece of a napkin. I took something as small as this. I hid it away. And I said, "Okay, this is Monday, this is Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday." For every day, I changed the place of this small object just so I could follow the passing of time. Because there are no windows, there's no clock, there's no information. I don't know if it's day or if it's night. So according to my calendar, exactly a year after the coup attempt, on the 15th of July, 2017, 24 hours, for 24 hours, I heard all these national songs, the national hymn. For 24 hours, they made me listen to these. And that music was another type of torture. They put earphones over my head. And other types of sounds, parasites, different types of noise that could drive me crazy. Of course, the more they tortured me, the more I resisted. I said, I have to be strong. I have to resist. I shouldn't lose my mental health. I shouldn't lose my memory. they keep asking me, for how many days have you been here, do you think? I know how many days it's been, but if I tell them, then they're going to say, how come you know that? So I was lied to them. I wanted them to think that I was confused, that I was losing my mental health. So I was kidnapped on 9th of May, 2017. And I was released 92 later. At around 5 o'clock, I understood that I was going to be released. They bought in my shoes, my clothes. They're going to release me. But still, I'm not sure. Maybe they say they're going to release me, but actually they're going to execute me. I'm not sure. But they said they're going to release me. So they brought me back all my things. They brought me back my identity card, my belt, my pants, my money. When I was abducted on the 9th of May, it wasn't very warm, but in August it was very warm. So, but I still had my coat from the month of May. When they brought me here, it took 30 minutes to bring me in, but leaving me to release me, they drove for 4 hours. How is it possible? 30 minutes to come and 4 hours to leave. So of course I didn't say anything. For 4 hours, I'm sure they just made us turn around and round and round in the van. But I was able to guess where we were turning. Each time was the same thing. We would stop at a light, we would go down a hill, we would turn left. Each time was the same thing for 4 hours. And then they left me off in a certain neighborhood in Ankara.
Thank you very much for your testimony, and I think now it's time for the judges to put some questions to you. So you have the opportunity to continue to explain in depth, answering questions from the judges. Judge van der Westhuizen, you have the floor.
Yes. Your testimony is very strong and in many ways very convincing. I wish to commend you for your honesty. For example, you say indeed that you're not sure of the color of the vehicle. It was perhaps black, perhaps a dark color. I appreciate that you indicate some uncertainty. You mentioned that you are a member of the Gökhan movement. I have two questions. The first is, what do you mean a member? Do you have a membership card, or did you sign, or do you pay membership fees? And linked to that, that is still part of my first question. The second one is very short, but my first question, we know about the Gökhan movement, but are they regarded, could they be regarded in any way as terrorists or illegal opponents of the regime? And what does it mean to be a member? Did you work for them? Did you carry a card? Or do you just agree with their ideals and their policies, or what?
Evet,
No, you don't carry a card to become a member. But the Jamaat, the movement, is a movement based on goodness. And when you're a part of this goodness, then you feel that you're a member. And it's when I'm a part of that movement that I feel good. I feel that I'm doing acts of good for people I will never meet, that I will never see. This goodness can be material or spiritual. It may be for Turkish people or Kurds or Muslims or other religions or other nationalities. It's not important. I just want to do good acts for humankind, for a human being. It may not even be a human being. It may be for the environment. I see the Gökhan movement as a movement that works for good. And I am a person who tries to do good within this movement.
Second question related to the first. I commended you for your honesty. Our problem here is that we do not have anybody representing the other side, in this case, the Turkish government. Now, let's say there were a lawyer here in Switzerland, and the lawyer would say to you, let's assume you took an oath, which you did not, and the lawyer would say to you, you must realize that if you say anything which is not absolutely true or accurate, you may actually be penalized and even go to jail. Now, if that were the case, if there were a lawyer here to ask you questions, to test your evidence, to cross-examine you, is there anything here that you would say differently? Perhaps say softer? Like I said, I forgot, one of the points that I appreciated is that you said when the vehicle drove away, it was not speeding. You know, many people would say, and then they drove off at a hell of a speed. You did not say things like that. But did you say something, anything that you would, if tested, tone down, make softer, make sound less serious?
Hayır, kesinlikle hayır.
No, for sure no. No, I didn't exaggerate anything. I didn't say anything that was more. There are many things that I wasn't able to tell you, to the contrary. So if you were to give me a few more minutes, I would tell you even more. For sure, there's nothing that I would change in my testimony. There's nothing that's legally wrong, that's conscientiously wrong. It's all 100% true. And even if I were under oath, even if I were in a courtroom, I would repeat exactly what I told you.
We give the floor to Judge Malinverni now. Thank you.
Many thanks, Mrs. President.
Evet, çok
One is you told us that the people who detained you threatened you that your wife and your children could see how they torture you. Did this happen or not? This is my first question. When they released you, did they tell you why they released you? And did they tell you why they arrested you and why they released you? Because they found you, they had nothing against you, no proof against you. What did they tell you?
Thank you, dear Judge, for this important question. Yes, it's something that I wasn't able to tell you about, so thank you very much. They did not bring my wife or children to where I was being kept. But it was just a threat to use to break my resistance. It was just a threat so I could become one of their agents. So, why did they release me? This is very important. They kept insulting my wife. They kept telling me that she was sleeping around, that she was doing things that she shouldn't be doing. They kept insulting her, insults that I wouldn't dare repeat here. They used words I could not repeat. And of course, I'm sure that my wife is outside looking for me. And I'm sure that my friends outside, that different NGOs are working to free me, A lawyer is kidnapped in the middle of Ankara, underneath CCTV, in the middle of the day, in front of hundreds of people, in front of hundreds of cameras. And for 92 days, I'm kept there. Is it possible that neither the prosecutor nor the police officer, nobody has an answer about what's happened to me? It takes a month or 2 months for a file to come in front of the prosecutor. The prosecutor probably told my wife that I had hidden away, that I'd just gone away, that I'd left her. So it seems that the police called my wife to the police station in the middle of the night. They tried to frighten her. They said, yes, your husband's gone. Your children will be left all alone. You'll be left all alone. And they told me all of this. They told me all this while they were interrogating me. So why did they release me? This is what I think. They never told me this in all words. They understood that they couldn't get any information out of me. They understood that they couldn't turn me into an agent as they wanted me to be. They understood I wouldn't confess. And my wife kept asking people about where I was. She was also working on the international level to find about my whereabouts. So for 92 days, of course, my hair grew. They're going to release me soon. They started to act more normally to me. They waited for all the marks of torture to disappear from my body. And they told me, Mustafa, we're going to release you soon. They left me on Tuesday, but they said on Friday, you have to come to this place. We're going to talk with you again. And of course, they wondered whether I would come. Maybe they were just testing me. Would I do what they wanted me to do? So when I was released on Tuesday, the next day on Wednesday, I was supposed to buy a cell phone. And on Friday, I was supposed to go to where they indicated to me. They took a photo of the place where I was supposed to go, and they'd circled the trash can in this park where I was supposed to go. And I was supposed to write a report about what I'd lived through during those 92 days and put it in that trash can in that park. But none of this was normal. I'm here. Ask me questions, and I'll tell you. You're beating me already. You're torturing me already. So just ask me questions, and I'll tell you. What am I going to tell you on Friday? So here's what I thought. These people think that next day I'm going to go to get a shave, to get a haircut. And then the next day, when once I get home, the police are going to come to my home, and they're going to say, oh, look at this. This man who you said had been kidnapped is just hiding at home. And so all these enforced disappearances, all these abductions are just going to be left kaduk. They're just going to be without effect. And everyone is going to believe that I've been laughing, that I've been lying. I think that this is what they were thinking. This is what they were aiming for.
Now to Judge Bayens and then to Judge Passé.
Thank you, Ms. For your testimony. I wanted to ask you, you said that at the time where you were abducted, you were keeping a low profile, you were hiding. What was your life those days? You were still teaching at the university? How had things changed for you? And the other question I wanted to ask you, well, I have actually two more questions. One is, what happened after you were finally, liberated or let free? What has been the impact on your life since, and also what happened to your wife and your children while you were gone? Thank you.
I'm sorry, these are very difficult subjects, and it's not very easy for me to speak. But first of all, after the decrees that were pronounced after the coup, of course, my university had been shut down. So I worked in the university only until the coup, and once it was closed, of course, well, I was unemployed. Yes, as I said, I was half in hiding. I wasn't staying at my own legal residence. I was staying somewhere else. Yes, I was in hiding. And at that moment, while I was in hiding, I was hearing about whether the police came to my official residence, about whether there were any arrests on my name, about whether I was looking for. But actually, I understood that nothing happened. No police came to my official residence. But I'm not for sure. It was not for sure what happened. Otherwise, were they looking for me in other ways? And while I was gone for those 92 days, my greatest worry was that, for example, I'd just taken my daughter to school, at around 12 o'clock. And she was going to leave school in the evening. She's a student in the 4th grade, and I was supposed to pick her up. And my younger child, who's only 8 months old, my wife had it was difficult for her to go to my daughter's school. And so nobody knew what happened to me. I didn't know if my daughter was able to get home all right that evening. And of course, while I was being interrogated, they insulted my wife. They told me about how they could harm her. And each time I was wondering, did they harm her? Is my wife also arrested? Is my wife also under custody? Where are my children? My parents haven't heard anything of me for these past days. My parents are older, they're in their 80s. Maybe they're sick of worry. I don't know. And this fact of not knowing is also another part of the torture. That's what I can say in summary.
Now I will give the floor to Judge Passé for the last question. You have the floor.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we do.
Thank you. Mr. Özben, one question. You're obviously in a very emotional state, understandably. Have you undergone or are you undergoing any treatment since you were released in 2017?
Teşekkür ederim.
Thank you. No, I didn't have such an opportunity in Turkey. Because the day I was released, the next day, I made the video I showed you at the beginning of this testimony. Because if again I were to be abducted or arrested, I wouldn't have the chance of telling what happened to me. So, and then I wrote with my own handwriting in Turkish and in English everything that happened to me. I tried to explain it in video. So if I were to disappear, then at least my writing would be there, my video would be there. And then I went into hiding immediately because I did not want them to find me at my own home. I didn't want them to say that I had been lying, that I hadn't been abducted. So I sent my wife and my children off somewhere else because there were no arrest warrants or anything like that about my wife. So I sent them off somewhere else, and I went into hiding in Ankara. Later on, I went to another city, and I hid there. And on the 18th of September 2017, I left Turkey, illegally, of course. And this is the first and only crime that I've ever committed in my life. I illegally left my country.
Very important testimony today, and we understand, of course, that is very emotional for you. So thank you very much for the collaboration to the work of this tribunal, Mr. Özben. I will stop now.
Bir de
No, unfortunately.
eğer müsaade ederseniz
Please allow me just one more minute, or even two.
Allocate the same period of time to each witness. So,
tamam.
voilà, thank you very much for your understanding.
Ben teşekkür ederim.
I thank you. My respects.
Thanks again. Now I will call Gökhan Güneş, but Gökhan Güneş will be represented by his lawyer, so it will be through video.
Yes, you see, this is much better. I just wondered what happened to my question, that's all.
His question about whether he received treatment, but I think he didn't answer.
Okay, we will continue. Okay, let's go.
Geçtiğimiz Ocak ayında müvekkilimiz Gökhan Güneş evinden iş yerine gitmek üzereyken iş yerinin önünde kaçırıldı ve 6 gün boyunca sistematik işkenceye maruz kaldı. hem Gökhan'ın yaşadıkları hem Gökhan'ın avukatları olarak bu süreçte neler yaptığımızı sizlerle paylaşmak istiyoruz. Biliyorsunuz Türkiye ve Kürdistan coğrafyası özellikle 90'lı yıllardan bu yana çok fazla hak ve özgürlüğün ihlaline tanıklık etti. Bunlardan maalesef en başında gözaltında kaybedilme politikası geliyor. Kayıt dışı bir şekilde gözaltına alma ve gözaltında kaybedilme o yıllar bakımından çok daha sistematik hale gelmiş bir devlet politikasıydı. Bugün bakımından da Gökhan'ın kaçırılmasıyla birlikte amaçlanan bu politikayı yeniden gündeme getirmek ve Türkiye'de hak ve özgürlük mücadelesi yürüten kesimleri bu vesileyle baskı altına almaktı. Hem Gökhan'la birlikte hem Gökhan'dan sonra çok fazla sayıda kayıt dışı bu gözaltı süresi içerisinde işkence ve aynı zamanda bu kişilerle işbirliği yapmak ve bu kişileri bir devlet ajanı olarak konumlandırma politikası belli düzeylerde hala devam ediyor. Gökhan'ın kaçırılmasıyla ilgili olarak da şunları söyleyebiliriz. Gökhan'ın kaçırılmasının hemen ardından yaşadığı yer ve kaçırıldığı yerin ilgili savcılık makamına bir başvuru yaptık. Gökhan'ın cep telefon numarasını paylaştık. Bazı bilgilerinden Gökhan'ın nerede olabileceği, kimler tarafından kaçırılmış olabileceği ve kaçıran kişilerin tüm bağlantısının açığa çıkartılmasını talep ettik. Aynı zamanda olay yerini gören, çünkü orası bir iş yeri, aynı zamanda bir otobüs durağı, olay yerini gören tüm kamera görüntülerinin toplanmasını istedik. Ama maalesef günlerce bu taleplerimizin kabul edilmesi bir yana Gökhan'ın dosyasına bir savcı ataması dahi gerçekleştirilmedi ve nöbetçi savcılık herhangi bir işlem yapmadı. O dönem çeşitli makamlara başvuru yaptık. Yani Türkiye Büyük Millet Meclisi İnsan Hakları Komisyonu, İçişleri Bakanlığı, Adalet Bakanlığı, İstanbul'da bulunan Terörle Mücadele Şubesi, her yere sorduk müvekkilimizi ve resmi devlet kurumlarından bir açıklama yapmasını istedik. Özellikle İçişleri Bakanlığı ve Adalet Bakanlığı'ndan. Ama Gökhan bulunana kadar herhangi bir yetkili makam tarafından hiçbir açıklama yapılmadı. Türkiye'de hak ve özgürlük mücadelesi yürüten demokratik kurumlar, hukuk örgütleri, Gökhan aynı zamanda sosyalist bir işçi olduğu için çeşitli sendikalar ve konfederasyonlar, siyasi partiler Gökhan'ın bulunması için çok ciddi ve çok anlamlı bir mücadele yürüttüler. Yine dünyanın pek çok kentinde, başta Avrupa olmak üzere, Avrupa kentleri olmak üzere eylemler yapıldı Gökhan'ın bulunması için. Gökhan'ın ailesi İstanbul'un her yerinde, yani başta Kayıplar Mücadelesi'nin simgesi haline gelmiş Galatasaray Meydanı olmak üzere İstanbul'un her meydanında, Gökhan'ın yaşadığı mahallede, yaşadığı ilçede, iş yerinde, her yerde 6 gün boyunca eylemler yaptı. Sokağa çıkma yasağına rağmen. Yine Avrupa Parlamentosu Türkiye'ye sorulmak üzere, daha doğrusu İçişleri Bakanı Süleyman Soylu'ya sorulmak üzere bir mektup gönderdi. Gökhan Güneş kaçırıldı ve bu kişiyle ilgili bir açıklama yapmak zorundasınız minvalinde bir mektup gönderdi. Ama İçişleri Bakanlığı tarafından, Süleyman Soylu tarafından böyle bir mektuba yanıt dahi verilmedi. Hem hukuk kurumlarının, hem demokratik kitle örgütlerinin, hem siyasi partilerin, hem de Gökhan'ın ailesi ve arkadaşlarının yapmış olduğu anlamlı mücadele sonucunda Gökhan bırakıldı, serbest bırakıldı. Ama 6 gün boyunca Gökhan çok yoğun ve sistematik olarak işkenceye maruz kaldı. Bilmediği bir yere zorla götürüldü, bilmediği bir yerde kapatıldı. Sistematik bir şekilde işkenceye ve tecavüz tehdidine maruz kaldı. Askıya alındı, ters kelepçeli şekilde çıplak bir vaziyette saatlerce, günlerce bekletildi ve kabadayak işkencesine de maruz kaldı tüm bunların yanı sıra. Ve 6 günün sonunda Gökhan'ı kaçıran kişiler ıssız bir yerde gözlerini bağlayarak Gökhan'ı yine aynı şekilde nasıl kaçırdılarsa aynı şekilde bırakmak zorunda kaldılar. Bu şu bakımdan elbette çok anlamlı. Gökhan'ın kaçırılmasına verilen toplumsal tepki bir devlet politikasının bir dönem bakımından uygulanmış ve verilen mücadeleler sonucu geriletilmiş olan bir devlet politikasının yeniden aynı biçimde uygulanamayacağını da göstermiş oldu. Ama elbette bunlar Gökhan'dan sonra son bulmadı. Pek çok kişi kayıt dışı bir şekilde gözaltına alındı. Bu kadar uzun süreli olmasa da saatlerce, günlerce yine kaçırılan, tehdit edilen, işkenceye maruz kalan insanlar oldu. Bu aynı zamanda bizim bakımımızdan aynı duyarlılığı, aynı dayanışmayı, aynı refleksi göstermemiz anlamına gelen, böyle bir sorumluluk da yükleyen bir yanını gösteriyor. Bugün maalesef kaçırılan, kaybedilen ve hala bulunamayan pek çok kişi mevcut. Gülistan Doku bunlardan biri, Hürmüz Diril bunlardan biri, Hüseyin Galip Küçüközyiğit bunlardan birisi. Onların aileleri, arkadaşları, kadın örgütleri, toplumsal kesimler hala onların bulunması için mücadelesine devam ediyor. Bizler de Gökhan bulunduktan sonra yeniden bir suç duyurusu dilekçesi verdik. Çünkü artık kaçırma dışında bir sistematik işkence ve eziyet suçu yeniden oluşmuş oldu. Bununla ilgili yeni başvurularımızı yaptık ama her şey çok ağır ilerliyor. Gökhan'ın arkadaşlarının, ailesinin, bizlerin kendi çabamızla bulduğu kamera görüntüleri dahi soruşturma dosyasına bizler tarafından sunuluyor. Bindiği otobüsün plakası, bindiği otobüs aracının kamera görüntüleri bunları bile kendi çabamızla bulup soruşturma dosyasına veriyoruz. Ama maalesef Türk yargısı, bu soruşturmayı yürüten savcılık, Gökhan'ı kaçıran kişilerin kim olduğu, gerçek faillerin ne olduğuyla ilgili son derece duyarsızlık ve çabasızlık içerisinde hareket ediyor ve aynı zamanda bu faillere de ortak olmuş oluyor. Çünkü Gökhan kayıt dışı bir şekilde kameraların önünde, İstanbul'da büyük bir şehrin ortasında, iş yerinin önünde gözaltına alındı ve gözaltında olduğu süre boyunca kendisine ajanlık dayatıldı ve gözaltına alan, onu alıkoyan ve işkence eden kişiler kendisini görünmezler olarak tarif ettiler. Bu aslında kimlerin olduğu, yani hangi devlet içerisindeki hangi birimler tarafından kaçırıldığı ve aslında bir kaybedilme politikasına yeniden kapı aralamak isteyenlerin, bu yolla hak ve özgürlük mücadelesi yürüten kişilerin bastırılmasını amaçlayan kişilerin yapmış olduğu bir çaba. Bunu böyle söyleyebiliriz sonuç olarak. Ama biz hukukçular olarak, Gökhan'ın avukatları olarak, Türkiye'de hak ve özgürlük mücadelesi yürüten hukukçular olarak Gökhan'ı kaçıran ve sistematik olarak ona işkence eden ve Gökhan'ı kaybetmek isteyen kişilerle ilgili hukuki mücadelemize ve diğer kayıpların bulunması için mücadele etmeye devam edeceğiz.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your testimony on behalf of Gökhan Güneş. Now I will give the floor immediately to Judge van der Westhuizen.
Yes, thank you very much for the testimony. Two very short questions. In the documents we have, your client, Mr. Güneş, is described as a socialist worker. What does that mean? And then I have another small question.
Merhabalar. Hello. Yes. Gökhan lives in Istanbul. He's from Tokat. He is from a Alevite family. It's a family of workers. He has been working as an electrician. That's how he has been making his living. Of course, as many people, he also needs to exert his labor. That's how he earns his life. And also, he is a person who has been defending the rights of workers and laborers, just like himself, and he has a socialist worldview. And for that reason, he has been part of a trade union. He has been part of the struggle. And he also participated several press releases, press conferences, several demonstrations and actions, and he was detained many times. There were several procedures against him. He was on trial. So being a socialist, being an opponent in Turkey also brings about some problems, and he is a person who has personally experienced these problems. That's his social and political existence. That's how we can term him. He is the child of a socialist and laborer family.
He's actually an activist. But the second question relates more to your own situation. We have heard evidence here of people who were abducted and tortured simply because of the school their children go to. People who say they broadly associate with the Gulen movement because they stand for goodness. In your presentation of your client's evidence, you put a lot of your own ideas in there about fighting for liberty and truth and justice and so on. And all of that I appreciate very much. But how is it that lawyers like you have been spared the harsh treatment that people with much less involvement have been meted out to, or have been subjected to? Or perhaps I just don't know, but seeing that you've put your own opinions here forward as part of the testimony, what is your own situation? Are you safe? And other members of the legal profession who do the same kind of work as you are doing?
Let me put it this way. Yes, lawyers or the defense authority that's represented by lawyers are under threat in many countries, as in Turkey. So this is associated with the people that we represent at courts. Actually, lawyers is a profession where you represent the governed people against the people who govern. So you represent the people against the capital. So you are in the defense position. So as required by the quality of our profession, we have become targeted by the power, by the government. But specifically since 2015, there has been a regime change in Turkey. This regime change has to a great extent relied on attacks towards legal mechanisms and the authority of defense. This is how it has taken place. Within 5 or 6 years, last 5 or 6 years, many of our colleagues have been subjected to trials. There have been many colleagues who have been detained. And this is specifically the case for lawyers who are in a struggle for human rights. And also, along with my colleague Özlem, I was detained for a while, and I still have some procedures against me, some legal procedures against me that haven't yet been concluded. This is totally related to the way in which we practice our profession. In addition to that, it's also related to there has been some changes in the positions of the lawyers during the trial procedures. There have been some legal amendments, and these have been regulated by means of decrees in the force of law in the state of emergency period. Even though we are no longer living in a state of emergency, many of these decrees in the force of law have become enacted. So they have become legislations. So there is a limitation of defense mechanisms. There are attacks against lawyers, or because of the defense that lawyers present in court, they are being put on trial. So these are prime examples of this situation. So in Turkey, not only citizens, but also the other people who are opponents of the current political regime, people who hold a different opinion, are represented by lawyers. And such lawyers...
Enough, that answers my question. What you say is also relevant to one of the later topics, namely the status of the legal system and the legal profession. I was just wondering about your own personal safety in view of the views you expressed. But thank you, the answer suffices.
Thank you very much. I will give in Verny.
Many thanks. I have two questions. The first one is, do you know why the police arrested Mr. Güneş and why they released him after a few days? Did they give any reason of the kidnapping and then for the release? This is the first question. And the second one is, I can read here that he couldn't come here in person because he is still under treatment after the torture that he endured. Could you tell us how he is now? what is his state of health is now? Has he recovered or is he still under treatment?
Let me start with the second question. Yes. After Gökhan was released, he has been going through an intensive period of treatment, both physically and psychologically. Because of the physical torture he was subjected to, he has been treated, and he also, of course, has been psychologically suffering from the torture. So therefore, he is being treated. He is being going through a psychological treatment. So he is still able to continue his life. He is able to work at a profession. He is able to maintain his normal life routine, but he is not yet able to talk publicly about what he went through. He is not able to clearly talk about what he went through in such open platforms. Therefore, he didn't choose to participate in this platform. Not only on this platform, but in many platforms he has chosen not to participate because his treatment process is ongoing, and resharing those accounts somehow trigger the previous traumas. So as his lawyers, we respect his choice, but I'm able to share that his health is going better. He is in a better condition. So as for the first question, as I just expressed, Gökhan is a person who has socialist ideas, and that's the reason why he was subjected to such an attack. As you know, in the 1990s, in Turkey and in the Kurdistan geography, many people were forcefully abducted and they were lost under detention. But in order to find the people who were lost, in order to have a reconciliation, a struggle was waged. So this has been actually partially successful. So we have been able to solve some of these cases, but especially in the last couple of years, this trend has risen again. Especially, we have seen these cases more often in illegal detentions. Especially, such a person as Gökhan has been abducted, and they actually tried to make him disappear. And this is actually a result of a war policy. That was the intention, was to make him disappear. So these were the reasons in our perspective why after 6 days again they had to release him. I am saying they had to release him because as of the moment when Gökhan was abducted, actually we know that the motivation was to make him disappear under detention. That was the motivation of the people who abducted him. Their aim was to make him disappear, turn him into a disappeared person. But during these 6 days, Gökhan's family, his companions, his comrades, his friends, several democratic mass organizations, NGOs, and lawyers, we have waged a very successful and active struggle by means of the Human Rights Association in Turkey. We have made several applications, and the family of Gökhan was able to uncover the video footage of Gökhan's abduction with their own efforts. We also submitted these to the judicial bodies of the government, of the state. This is actually the responsibility of the judicial bodies of the state, but we know that they wouldn't do this. So in a big city like Istanbul, in front of all the cameras, a person was abducted in broad daylight. So they were unable to dismiss such a successful struggle. And we also raised public opinion internationally in many cities in Europe. Many demonstrations were held, not only in Turkey, but also in several European cities. Some actions were taken. The European Parliament also had an initiative about this. After our application, they sent a letter to the Ministry of Interior of Turkey. So various international associations and organizations asked, where is Gökhan? In Turkey, also member of parliaments from CHP and HDP parties also gave some motions of they submitted some motions to the parliament. Also in January in 2021 in Turkey there were curfews in Turkey because of the pandemic, and actually this also meant a prohibition of any demonstrations in Turkey in effect. But in those days when there was a curfew, the family and friends of Gökhan also made several demonstrations in front of the police station and also in Galatasaray Square, which has become a symbol of such demonstrations in Turkey. So, in many streets, in many institutions, they sought after Gökhan all around the world. They actually went through all the processes that would ever be possible. We made applications to the prosecutor's office, to the parliament. So it was a social reaction. It was a massive social reaction, and they had to release him after all this. And also the fact that there was the actual footage actually proved that it was a crime. So in terms of his abductors, this was a clear crime. So also his comrades, his families, his family members, and the whole society concerted their efforts to continue the struggle, and therefore this process, which might have ended with the killing of Gökhan, has been intercepted.
Thank you. I think we have the answer to the question. Before giving the floor to Judge Bianco, here two questions coming from Judge Pace, but I think we already have the answer to them. Did the abduction happen this year? I think it was in 2020. Okay, is it correct?
In January 2021, 21.
Okay, so it is this year. Excellent. The second question was concerning any form of treatment, but I think we received the answer to that. Yes, he received physical and psychological treatment from that time. Okay, now I will give the floor to Judge Bianco.
Thank you, Madam President. I believe part of my question in relation to your client has been just answered. However, I think I would like to pose it in more kind of general terms, and probably even going back to the report presented yesterday by Mr. Heymans. Is there in Turkey any kind of system, platform, database, I'm referring also to the testimony we heard this morning, for these people who are believed to have been abducted or disappeared? A system which would inform their families, would inform the public opinion, the institutions, NGOs, civil society, media, whatever. Is there any such a kind of database, international organizations as well, which would allow the public opinion to understand what is going on, but also the families? I mean, families there, they don't know about the fate of their kind of close relatives. So they might, of course, they wonder, as we heard this morning. So is there any kind of database and action of the civil society, as much as you can? I mean, you can explain this as a lawyer, to alleviate this situation and to start and collect evidence, but also to find where these people are, because we've seen cases also before the European Court of Human Rights that with the passage of time it is extremely difficult then to find what happened to these people. So what's going on in these terms? Thank you.
Let me put it this way. The attack of disappearance under detention happened more intensely in the year 1990s, and in Turkey we have this movement that we called Saturday Mothers. So it's a platform, it's a work group that has been formed by such people. So these Saturday Mothers every year gather in Galatasaray Square in Istanbul. They want to learn about the fate of their relatives and friends, and they also wage a legal struggle, of course. Some of them have been able to find, some of them haven't been able to find their close ones. Some of them have still ongoing trials, and some of their trials have been concluded. So the Human Rights Foundation and the Human Rights Association in Turkey have actually been working on such topics such as disappearance and torture under detention. They have prepared reports on this. They also have made applications about people who have been disappeared under detention. So the most sound information can be provided by the Human Rights Association and the Human Rights Foundation of Turkey. These are the two main NGOs I can cite for you. And also several people who have been lost and couldn't be found, such as Gülistan Doku. There are many names that we can mention. So about such people, the Human Rights Association has received such applications also by means of Human Rights Association. Also, the United Nations Committee of the Disappeared People also received some applications, and the most sound, the most systematic information are still being maintained by societies that wage this struggle for rights. That's what I can say.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for you, Mr. Özben, for your very, very important testimony. Thank you to you, the lawyers who help us to understand the situation. Now we will have a coffee break and we will resume in half an hour, exactly at noon. We will resume at noon for the third testimony of this morning. Thank you very much. What do you say? No, it's 11:30. And we resume at 12. Okay. Thank you very much. We resume at 12.
C'est 20 maintenant.
What do you say?
C'est seulement 20.
Ah, I have 25.
Ouais, ça fait rien.
It doesn't. Okay, thank you. So we resume in half an hour, maybe a little bit before 12. Okay. Go.
We're a bit late.
We are late. Because we are late. Oh là là, oui, tu as raison. Ladies and gentlemen, it is
Baylar bayanlar, evet saat 12 olmuş. Evet, şu anda normalde Türk hükümetinin temsilcileri söz alabileceklerdi ama tabii herhangi bir temsilci yok. Bu nedenle oturumumuza devam edeceğiz. Evet, zorla kaybolma konusundaki son tanıklığımızı alacağız. Mesut ve Meral Kaçmaz kendi kaçırılma hikayelerine tanıklık edecekler. Evet, videoyla dinleyeceğiz kendilerini.
My name is Mesut Kaçmaz. I was teacher, I was educationist, and my last duty was in Pakistan. I was director of public relations over there. I was doing as principal for 5 years.
This is Meral Kaçmaz. I'm a science and English teacher, and I was working in Pakistan at Pakistan School as a deputy principal while just before when I was kidnapped.
Before 27th of September, almost 10 days before our kidnapping, our abduction, there were some people around our house continuously hearing and gazing while I was going to mosque from my house. I have been actually selected randomly. I used to go to Turkey frequently, and I used to receive invitation from the Turkish government. That's why I was known well in Turkey as well in Pakistan for those people. Of course, I was the director as a public relations. Maybe just to disconnect the relations with good people in Pakistan, that was the target. So during the 27th of September, I was in sleep, and my wife was wakened. So she woke me and she said that there are some police officers in front of the house. It was at night, 1:30 a.m.
There wasn't any sign on the car, or there wasn't uniforms on the people. They were plain clothes.
My name is Mesut. Kaçmaz. I was teacher, I was educationist, and my last duty was in Pakistan. I was director of public relations over there. I was doing as principal for 5 years.
This is Meral Kaçmaz. I'm a science and English teacher, and I was working in Pakistan at private schools as a deputy principal while just before when I was kidnapped.
Before 27th of September, almost 10 days before our kidnapping, our abduction, there were some people around our house continuously hearing and gazing while I was going to mosque from my house. I have been actually selected randomly. I used to go to Turkey frequently, and I used to receive invitation from the Turkish government. That's why I was known well in Turkey as well in Pakistan for those people. Of course, I was the director as a public relations. Maybe just to disconnect the relations with good people in Pakistan, that was the target. So during the 27th of September, I was in a sleep, but my wife was wakened. So she woke me and she said that there are some police officers in front of the house. It was at night, 1:30 a.m.
There wasn't any sign on the car. There wasn't uniform on the people. They were plain clothes and almost 15, 20 weaponized people, but we didn't know who they were.
So they have raided to my house, even though our landlord tried to prevent them to enter inside. But they came to my house and they said that they are going to take us to safe house. And I asked any legal document, warrant, paper, or any ID to make sure that they are the official people or officers. And they have rejected to show anything. When we protest, they have beaten us too much, me, my wife as well, and my children. And my wife, unfortunately, fainted at the door of the house. We have been taken like that, and we have put in a separate vehicle. And then in the car, I have been beaten too much. They were continuously beating me on my face, on my head, on my shoulder. And when I was asking that, why are you beating me? What is the reason? Or where are they taking me? And what about my family, my kids, my wife? And they were not responding.
They have taken us to this place, which they have held us. And the first time in my life, I had to clean up blood from my kids' body and from my husband's body because they were pulled on the ground and their body was covered with bruises and wounds. And I was shaking because in Pakistan it was very usual to disappear people after kidnapping. We are in a place without sunlight, we can't see outside, and everywhere was covered with iron bars and curtains, and then it was really scary. But because we were with children, in the meantime we had to calm them down. One of them was 15, other one was 17. They are minors, and they are girls. But they had to suffer handcuffs, they had to suffer being blindfolded, black sacks, and then with the beating, and then pulling on the ground. So they didn't deserve. After 17 days, they said that they will take us to the capital of the Pakistan, and in the capital, we will be allowed to meet with our lawyer and with the people from the Turkish embassy. And that moment we realized that they are handing us over to somebody, but we don't know who they are handing us over.
We have been handed over us to the Turkish intelligence, and the Turkish government sent special jets, that's all, for us only. And we have been taken to Istanbul. But during almost 5 hours, 30 minutes during flight time, I have been tortured a lot, and I have been really threatened over my family, and they have told me just we are going to accept whatever we say, and otherwise we are going to rape your daughter, your wife, in front of you. So when we arrived to Turkey, that journey continued like that.
After our kidnap, I was taken under custody in Turkey with the children, and they had to experience those environments. They were behind iron bars, and later on, I was kept in a cell in Turkey for 6 months. So our kids were alone with their uncle. I couldn't even hear one of my daughter's voice for 2.5 months. So you are half dead, because if you are separated from your kids forcibly, you are half dead. And not only me, I was in one of the cells, but I was able to see the women in the other cells. And they were all same. There were lots of women crying for their children. When you are in those conditions, you don't cry for anything else. You cry for your children, actually. And the worse than crying for my children was watching other mothers who are crying for their children, because it is so painful. They made me believe that I will never leave the jail in my life. I believe that lifetime they will put me in the jail, because, you know, if you kept under custody for 1 month without sunlight, without proper food and the conditions, you believe whatever they try to make you believe. But I didn't sign what they wanted me to sign. I didn't accept what they forced me to accept. And I said that 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, I don't know. But finally, one of the courts will prove that I'm innocent.
Our court cases, I mean, our hearing started 13th February 2018, and it was a very tough case hearing. I have told everything to the prosecutor. The second case hearing was 26th April 2018. That time my wife was released, and 3rd of July, my last case hearing. So court has ordered to release me as well. And then he said that we are going to be sentenced for each year 3 months, actually, me and my wife as well. So that we are safe right now. This is the situation, what happened.
The verdict was supposed to reach much earlier. I think they are trying to buy some time, because they know that one day, how ridiculous is our case will be clear. You know, we used to think that in our country, justice is over. We know that how judiciary is being controlled by the government, and whatever government says is the ultimate truth, and nobody can change it. And we don't know what to do. We are helpless.
The people who kidnapped us, they have continuously told us that our file was clear in Pakistan, and he said that they have received the file from 5 intelligence services of Pakistan, and it was clear. Only one thing he said that, sorry sir, you are being ruled in Turkey by a dictator, and this is the order of Erdogan, order of Turkish government. They have put pressure on us to kidnap you, and we don't know what is the reason. We have no file.
The problem was not our critics about the Turkey or the government. The problem was not supporting Erdogan. Because we are people who love their country. I love my country. Turkey is my nation, my country. I will always love my country and my nation. There is no doubt. But the problem was not supporting them. I mean, you don't nowadays. The situation is somewhere like that. You are a journalist or you are someone in a critical point, and you don't have to criticize them. Even if you don't support them, it is enough to be eliminated.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your testimony now. And start the question time with you, Judge van der Westhuizen.
Thanks, President. At this stage, I will pass, and perhaps I will come back, but I don't have a question right now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Oui. I will give the floor to Judge Maliverni and then to Judge Bianco.
Thank you, Madam President. So you have been abducted in Pakistan. Do you know if it's by the Pakistani police or by people sent from Turkey to Pakistan to abduct you? This is my question. And the aircraft who took you from Pakistan to Turkey, was it a Pakistani aircraft or a Turkish aircraft?
Okay, we have been kidnapped in Pakistan, Lahore city, by the local ISI, Inter-Service of Intelligence, Pakistan Army Intelligence people, about 15 to 20 people. But when I was released later, I learned that there was one man from Turkish intelligence and one lady, again from Turkish intelligence, among the team who has kidnapped us. And the aircraft crew was Turkish. There were about 7 or 8 people. I am not sure about that. I came to know because of their talking each other. They were Turkish crew, and the plane was Turkish as well.
Thank you very much. The floor is yours, Judge Bianco.
Thank you, Madam President. My question actually follows a little bit what Judge Malinverni said. You're flown to Turkey, and did you land to a civil or military airport, or did you kind of realize where you're landing? Did you present any kind of paper or passport, or was any kind of Turkish authority certifying that you entered Turkish territory, or this kind of transfer from the authority, from the aircraft to kind of official authority in Turkey? So how did that go? Thank you.
Okay, actually, thank you so much. We have been taken to the aircraft in Pakistan by forcibly and unwillingly. We have told the authority many times that they are the Turkish intelligence and our life is going to be under risk. Somehow they said that there is no other way, that you are supposed to leave. And we have been taken to the aircraft and they have attacked us, as I told, almost for 5 hours. They have tortured me very heavily, brutal tortured. And it is very unfortunate that they have threatened me to rape my daughters and my wife in front of me if I don't accept their testimony. And when I landed in Turkey, they have used very abusive language. I mean, Turkish authority at the airport. We have been landed in civil Atatürk airport, but they have taken us from military airport in Lahore, Pakistan, and landed in civil Atatürk airport. Actually, they have blindfolded us. It was not me, but when we came out of the plane, they have taken the socks from our head, and I could see very clearly it was Atatürk airport. And when we reached over there, we have been just behaved like we came as a passenger, with the normal flight. So we didn't have any passport, we didn't have any document, any ID, nothing. And then the police officer has asked about the passport. I said, we have no passport. We have been kidnapped, and the Turkish intelligence brought. And for that reason also, they have written, and there was a special document for that, as like illegal coming from another country, Turkey. We have been behaved like that. And they said that you cannot enter the Turkey without passport. This is a crime. And they didn't want to listen to us. And we have been taken directly to the airport detention center, and we have been separated. Me alone and my wife and my daughters, they were together.
Thank you very much. Judge Bayens, do you have any question?
Thank you, Madam President. Just one question. Why do you think you were targeted? if you could elaborate a little bit on your own thoughts about the reasons why this happened to you and your wife. Thank you.
Okay. I am not sure why. I told you just randomly I was selected. I was the director of public relations, and I have very good relation with the Pakistani authority in Pakistan, media or other people as well. I mean, respected people in Pakistan, and we have also. I have also very good relation. Some people in Turkey, today's rulings party, the people belongs to rulings party, and they many times invited me for some occasions in Turkey. Like they begged me, please bring some people from Pakistan to Turkey. We are going to have some program because they were not able to invite the people. They don't know English. They have no people, very good people in Pakistan actually. Maybe because of that. Otherwise, there was no any connection. When you look at my warrants, also the paper of warrant, it is saying that as an allegation, working at public schools in Pakistan, and there was a Rumi forum as a peace and educational institution, and working also over there. And there were 3 people in Turkey. One of them was the fellow of Erdogan, and the other one was the rector of university in Turkey, private university. And I had a telephonic conversation with them, but there is no any details, just the date and the time, that is all. When you go to details in the court also, I asked the details, if there is any criminal conversation with them, they were not able to approve, or they were not able to prove that one. And the other person, also very respected person in Turkey, but they, as I told you, they couldn't prove any details about that. This was the allegation of the court against me. And there was another issue that to deposit some money in Bank Asia. That is all. I don't know the reason, actually, as I told you, just randomly.
Thank you very much. Before going back the floor to Judge Maliverni, Judge Pace, you have a question, I think so.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wondered, that clip that we just saw was very professionally done. And I was wondering, A, how and what for it was made, and whether the clips in it, like the scenes, some of those scenes, are they real or are they just sort of borrowed in order to create the environment? I just wondered what was the purpose, original purpose of preparing that clip, which is, by the way, very well done.
You.
I don't know whether Mesut has heard me, but before you came in, he and I were having a chat on Zoom.
Yeah.
Where is the witness?
I am here. I am here.
Ah, voilà.
Mr.
Okay.
Pace,
Did you hear?
I am here. Yeah.
Did you hear the question of Judge Pace?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Pace, can you repeat the question, please?
Sure, sure. The clip that we saw with your wife and yourself, family photos and so on, the montage. I was just wondering, A, whether it's obviously made for some kind of purpose of some sort. I was wondering whether those inserts, those clips, like the scene outside the house, like the planes and so on, whether they are authentic or whether they are just borrowed in order to create a work of art, as it were. What was the purpose of it being done originally?
This clip actually, it has been prepared for the Turkey Tribunal. We have given them the interview only, okay? And they have montaged some pictures, some, other views, our photos as well for this program, actually.
Okay, so those inserts, like, like that room with a table in it and a curtain and so on, those are borrowed from other sources, obviously.
Yes. These pictures have been taken before the incident, actually. Just they have taken, because we have left everything in our home in Pakistan. My friends have taken the phones and they have selected some photos. Maybe also we don't have those photos. They have just added to the clips.
Okay, so they're all your stuff?
Yes, it's true. It is true.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President.
Very much. Judge Malin Verny. Okay.
Another question, please. Since the abduction, je crois que c'est pas.
Sorry, it's my friend.
No, c'est bien.
Since the abduction took place in Pakistan, my question is, did you or your lawyer bring the case before the Pakistani tribunals?
In Pakistan?
Because after all, the crime was committed on the Pakistani territory, yeah? Okay.
That's good. Okay,
so
sir,
did you bring the case
actually,
before the Pakistani authorities to clarify?
Yeah. Okay, actually, by the force of Erdogan regime on Pakistan government, first they have changed. I was working at the Pak Turk schools and colleges. There was a very famous school chain in Pakistan, which is called Pak Turk schools and colleges. So first, after the 15 July coup attempt, end of August 2016, Pakistan authority changed the management of the school, and the Provincial Minister of Justice of Lahore, Punjab, he said that if you do not change your management, we are ready to take all Turkish people and put in one place and then send to Turkey. Just we have been also treated like that. And after this incident, September 2016, first time the ISI people came to my office to see our documents, whether it is illegal or not. Because there was a Rumi Forum in America and there was a Rumi Forum in Pakistan. So when they came, the first one, after 10 years, I have seen one intelligence people came and visited our office. And they asked some documents and they were giving some information about our office. But everything was not related with us. Nothing was related with us. When I asked at the file, if you can give me, let me check. When I see there was a written address and telephone belongs to Washington, D.C. I said that, look at, there is address over here. It is written Washington and telephone number is Washington, not related with us. And they were surprised. There were 4 people and they said that, sorry, sir, actually, these documents have been given by the Turkish ambassador. That time, ex-ambassador of Turkey for Islamabad was Sadık Babur Girgin. He was the person who has prepared everything, our abduction, because just before 10 days of our abduction, they had a meeting with Chief of Army Staff, Kamar Javed Bajwa, as well Navid Mukhtar, the ex-director of ISI in Pakistan, just 10 days ago, 17 or 18 of September 2017. So during that time, our school was seized by the government in Pakistan, and then we have received notification to leave the country within 72 hours. And immediately we have rushed to United Nations, actually UNHCR, to ask for the asylum seeker. And then we have received our paper, our case accepted by the UNHCR, and we got the permission to remain over there for 1 year. And by the way, of course, some parents rushed to high courts to stop the stay order of government. And then governments had to step down because of the High Court orders. We got the stay order over that. Yes, there was a case about that. But it is not for me, it's not for my family. It is about the all Turkish staff. And after that, of course, almost 6 high courts have given stay order for all Turkish staff. But of course, we were not working. We didn't go to schools. After that, what happened? Then our abduction was realized, and my friends rushed to court, Lahore High Court, and the Lahore High Court has given order 28th of September 2017 for the Pakistan security forces to locate, to find our location. And then 8th of October 2017, High Court has given order not to send us to Turkish authority unless we will go to High Court as well. We are going to be prosecuted over that. And many times, despite we have requested from the authorities who was helping us to speak our lawyer, to go to court, and they said that this is not possible. Once the person said that, sir, sorry, we have no anything against you. We have followed you almost for 6 months to find any criminal, because according to Turkish government allegation, you are the member of terror organizations and you have some link over here with some terror organizations. That is why we have observed you for 6 months to find any legal proof or evidence against you, but we couldn't find. That is why Turkish government ordered us to kidnap you like that. I said, okay, if there is any problem, if there is any crime that I have not committed, yes, I have not committed any crime, why are you keeping us? And later I have seen the documents, counter-terror departments in Punjab province, in Lahore, they have submitted the file to the court that we have not committed any crime, me, my wife as well, my kids, they're already kids. So there was a case in Pakistan like that. The Pakistan authorities has handed over us to Turkish intelligence despite the Lahore High Court order, because there was a case 16 which was arranged 16 October 2017, but unfortunately we were that date in Turkey because we have been kidnapped 13 of October 2017. Actually, sorry, we have been handed over to Turkish intelligence. And also for my wife, there was a warrant for me by Turkish government, by Turkey, but for my wife, there was no any warrant. What we understood that Pakistan government has asked warrant for my wife. 13 October 2017, the Ankara court has prepared warrants on the same day, accepted, and was this warrant sent to Pakistan, and Pakistan also they have accepted this warrant, and on the same day evening we have been transferred from Pakistan to Turkey, from Lahore to Istanbul directly.
Thank you very much. You still have one question?
Yeah, thank you for your evidence. I understand that you have a lot to tell us, but speaking for myself, I must confess that my concentration span is too short to follow your answers. So you give very long answers and then I get very lost. And
Yeah,
the longer, no, wait, let me just, let's take it step by step, if you don't mind. I apologize for asking the same questions that might have been asked and for going back to things that you have told us. But can I ask it in short bits and you give short answers? When you were abducted in Pakistan, in your pajamas and without shoes, that was in Pakistan. Then,
In Pakistan.
yeah, and then you were kept for how long? It said in the summary we have here, you did not see daylight for 17 days. That was still in Pakistan. And then,
Yes, for some in Pakistan.
yeah. And then you said 2 days before your court appearance or something like that, you were transported to Turkey. Is that correct? Did I understand correct? Now, what was that court appearance for?
I will explain. 27th of September, we have been kidnapped. And 28th of September 2017, my friends rushed to court to open the case and to find us. And the court has given stay order, about us not to be handed over to the Turkish government, 8th of October. This is what I learned actually when I was released and collected documents. Then I have realized something has happened during our detention. No, but hang on now. So what would have happened at that court event 2 days after you were transported to? What would have happened if you were not transported to Pakistan, to Turkey? What would have happened? Okay, normally we were supposed to be taken to the Lahore High Court to be prosecuted according to international law. If Turkey is demanding us, first I'm supposed to be prosecuted in Lahore, and then if the court accepts to be transferred for us, then we could be
so
transferred.
that has something to do with extradition. But my colleague, Judge Malinverni, asked, well, he asked, did you approach a Turkish, Pakistani court? What I want to ask, were you ever charged with a criminal offense in Pakistan? He also mentioned that. Did the Pakistanis, during those 17 days, ever charge you with a criminal offense in Pakistan?
Nothing, no.
Okay. Then the next question, sorry that I make it long, but step by step. When you said you were in trouble because you didn't have passports, was that when you went into Turkey?
Yes.
So did the people who abducted you take you through passport control at the airport?
Yeah, of course, we have actually faced this problem. They asked the passport.
No, but did the abductors say now we have to go through passport control? And then the officer at passport control said, oh, where's your passport? Is that how it happened? Do you understand the question? Sorry, should I repeat? You were abducted.
I couldn't hear it.
Yeah, I will repeat. You were abducted, and I understand you were in a special plane sent by the Turkish authorities. Now, did the Turkish authorities then take you to the airport in Istanbul and then say, but unfortunately now, although we have abducted you and all of that, but we have to follow procedures and go through passport control?
Yes, exactly, yes, exactly. They said that without passport you cannot enter. I said, we have been kidnapped. There is a police officer here, you can ask. That we have been taken from the jets. You don't have the passport. They said that, no, this is not possible. So that's why they said that you are going to have some fine about that because of you don't have passport.
So didn't you say when they say, where's your passport, you say, ask this guy behind me, he's the one who abducted me?
I told them, I said that I don't know who they are. I don't care about them. Just I need your passport. I said, I'm sorry, I don't have a passport.
Now, in Turkey, then you were in detention for 6 months. Is that what you said?
No, this is my wife actually, not 6 months. In detention, I remained only for 3 days and my wife for 11 days. My wife was kept in the prison
in a cell,
in solitary confinement.
For 6 months?
Yes, for 6 months,
right.
Yes, true.
And then when you eventually went back to Pakistan, did you have to go through passport control again? Did they ask you, the Pakistanis ask you, where's your passport?
In Pakistan...
Sorry, or did I help me if I misunderstood the whole story. Please help me.
Yeah, in Pakistan, we didn't follow the procedure because we have been handed over us to the Turkish government, Turkish intelligence, in military airport. So there was no any office over there. Just we have been taken from car directly to the plane. That is all.
So when
There
you
was no.
so to Pakistan, you went through a military airport, but when
Yes.
when the abductors took you to Turkey, you went through a civilian airport where they have passport control.
Special jet.
I see.
No. There was no other passport control in Pakistan.
No, I know.
And
Yeah, but when they took you to Turkey in the first place,
yeah,
you went through a civilian airport with passport control.
yes, in Turkey.
Yeah, that is kind of awkward for abductors to do that, but I understand that the situation may not necessarily be completely rational. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you very much, all of you, because we are at the end now of the session of abduction. Thank you for Johan Heymans being here this morning with us. That was important for the whole understanding of the situation and also for the witnesses who are there. So thank you very much to you. Thank you for all the witnesses, because I know we know, the tribunal know that it's very sensitive, it's very difficult, it could be even emotional. So thank you for your testimony, all of you. This afternoon we will resume at 2 o'clock, and now we are going to freedom of press freedom in Turkey with the report of Philippe Lerut. So have a good lunch break, and we resume at 2 with the presentation of the report of Philippe Lerut. Thank you very much.